Good morning, Alta Realty Group agents. This is Kevin Lauren. I'm your Director of Training and Marketing, and basically your digital Sherpa and guide in the real estate world. Today I'm joined by Bill Seitz and Travis Breton. Let me bring Bill on. Good morning, Bill. How are you doing today?
Good morning, Kevin.
All right, and let me bring on Travis as well. Good morning, Travis.
Good morning, guys. How's it going?
Very well. All right, cool. So great webinar plan for today. One of the things that we can kind of distinguish ourselves from other real estate agents is by giving these thoughtful gifts at closing and so forth. So before we get into the meat of our presentation, I want to have Bill give us a little bit of what's going on in mortgage land.
Yeah. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, Kevin. Good morning, Travis.
Good.
Last week we went through some of the loan limit changes for. We went through conventional and the FHA loan limits and some of those numbers of what those bring, and I think that was probably helpful for some of you just to understand how that process works and what it means for 2020, and also some opportunities on some multifamily 1 to 4 units and seeing those loan limits. So I think that was pretty helpful, as I had a few of you reach out to me and ask me some questions about that. So that was good. Today, as we look at the 10-year, as I slide my thing over here, Kev.
There we go.
Yeah, I can see now. Great. So yeah, rates have just kind of trickled a little bit down. There's a lot of stuff going on in the news. If you even scroll down, I was looking at this morning before the webinar started. I was checking out some of the latest news, and this kind of gives you a direction of what the market's doing. And one that caught my eye was new China virus spooks global markets, but analysts say it might not be as bad as, I think it's SARS is the last one that we had the big global scare. So
right. There you go. You're correct.
There it is. So, that is really interesting because, the financial markets are so, they're very, they react very quickly to certain news. And if any of you have been reading about this virus, it sounds a little daunting and a little scary. So if I don't want to be a, scare
alarmist.
Alarmist or scare technician. But if you are traveling to central China in the next few weeks, you might want to reconsider.
Yeah, I would.
They have detected some cases of this thing out, and obviously with airplane travel and with the way we transportation is these days across the globe, you can see how it gets pretty much spread very quickly and very easily. So it will be interesting to see. I actually read the article this morning, and they had their first case of a gentleman that was visiting China a couple of weeks ago, and he came down with flew back to Seattle International Airport, flew back, started showing signs, and it was 100% linked back to that. And now they're monitoring him to see what, how many people may have been infected or, how that goes out from there. So I think the markets are going to be a little bit jittery with that moving forward. And also another headline there, Kev, is Treasury yields rebound slightly as investor, monitor earnings. So we're in earnings season, right? So a lot of times this is the time where companies are going to report their earnings and how well they did toward the back end of last year. And that will also have a big reflection on the market. So just a couple things just for everyone to take notice of. Otherwise, mortgage rates are good. They're actually down a little bit in the last 2 weeks. You can see it's kind of trickled down there to just over 1.75 on the Treasury yield. So, this is typical this time of year. Usually, I've noticed the last 3 or 4 years, every time back end of January into February, the market's kind of slow. The rates have come down, and it's a great time to get stuff done. So that's all I got from my department, Kevin, and I will be listening to you and Travis and taking notes.
Perfect, buddy. Yeah, you know what? That's funny. I just pulled up the 5-year, and it looks exactly that. Every, the beginning of the year kind of dips down a little bit every time, right?
Yep.
Interesting. Good insight, Bill. All right, cool. So the first thing I want to do before I get into the meat of my presentation is we have updated this is the ARG Agent Resource Center, and we've added a little spot called Tips and Resources. And Courtney just finished this. And so in Tips and Resources, all of the different, when I create a graphic or most of the things that I do webinars about, I will, a lot of times I'll create a graphic for you guys. And so these are, let me scroll down here a little bit. So all of these are, PDFs that you can download. So you can come through here and you can get, you can download a copy of the current client welcome kit, all of these different things that I've done webinars about. So really cool stuff there. Go ahead and go to the resource center, and as I said, just click on that tips and resources area right here. All right, and then another thing I wanted to point out is in our agent marketing systems, we have this is a brand new little spot. It's just really cool. Is they have a couple of different pre-built sites for us, but this one's brand new. So all of us now have this little. I'll click on it. Very cool little landing page. List your home with Nicoletta, and so it's a one-page little website that shows you what the benefits would be if you list your home with Nicoletta, right? Or with any of you guys. So in your agent marketing system, from the dashboard, of course, you would just go to websites, and it's right here. It's pre-built, it's ready for you guys, and really, really good resource. And then another thing I wanted to pull up, and I know Travis is a big fan of this website, CoreFact. CoreFact is a really, really great spot for you guys to do your mailers through. They'll sell you the list, they'll send it out for you, they'll design them. So really, really cool. They look really good. So if you haven't used CoreFact yet for your farm mailers, this is a really good company to use. All righty. So without further ado, we're going to get into our best and worst real estate closing gifts. So there's a couple. This is a really cool website that I found, and just has some really good ones. Some of them I don't like. Some of them are really good. This is kind of the first one I think is very interesting. A custom house history poster. So this, of course, would be for homes that are built, at least 100 years ago, and there's got to be some kind of history for you to, research and kind of put together a little, deal. But kind of a cool thing if you're selling homes that are older. In California, we don't have that many homes that were built 200 years ago, so it doesn't really apply too much here. Here's a kind of a fun little one, a wishing house. I don't know about this one, to be honest, but just a little these little I guess they're little cast iron homes, and you're supposed to have a little wishing deal for them, so that's interesting. This one I really like, though. A little gift box subscription. There are thousands of gift box kind of subscriptions. So if you find out in the course of your the sale of a home, or working with a client, that your client is a dog person or a cat person, well, let's face it, people that like dogs, they really like their dogs. And so, giving them one of these little monthly subscriptions, where a little box of, toys and cookies and so forth shows up once a month. Great reminder of, hey, my realtor is super awesome and is thinking about my dog. So that one I really like. And again, this kind of goes back to, I talked about this a few webinars ago. Giving a client a gift at closing, it's a great way to, establish rapport, especially if you're selecting something that's very thoughtful, as we're kind of looking at here. But, doing this on a consistent basis, and not just at closing, but doing something on a quarterly basis, or like this, where every month they're going to get something. Very, very cool. And guess what? That, of course, reminds them that you're their realtor. You're the one that they should be referring to their friends, and you go above and beyond for your clients. So really, really important. And Travis, I know we talk about this all the time. What would you have to say about that reoccurring kind of a gift that you would give to someone?
Yeah, I think it's good to have a staple of what you do all the time. But certain situations may call for something, a little more personalized or um, unique to the situation, depending on kind of what you went through during the transaction, or maybe even the type of home. Maybe it was a vacation home for the family or something, and you want to do something a little different that'll maybe stay in the home for generations to come or something like that.
Yeah. So, that again, reading the situation, making something that's really personal to that client. We talk a lot with our clients through the course of a transaction. You find out a lot about a client through the course of a transaction. So when we're selecting this kind of, gift or the series of gifts, we really want to make it customized to that person. So I think that's, the biggest overall theme that I'd like you guys to get from this webinar is, don't just, as we'll see, don't just give them some random gift card, which isn't the worst thing, but hey, the more personalized that you can make this, the more of an impact that you're going to make on that client. And that's what we're looking to do. We're looking to create that 7-star service. And so it's not even a question of who they're going to refer when someone's asking them, hey, who do you use as a realtor? Or I got to sell my house. Who should I talk to? You got to be the person that's like, oh, well, obvious. You got to talk to, my realtor, John Smith. He's the best. So that's what we're aiming to do with any of these gifts or any of these ideas, right? I love this one, a consultation with a local landscape designer, especially if the landscape it needs some work. So certain places, maybe this doesn't apply to if you just sold a place with some amazing landscape. So again, very custom to the situation. So these are all just good ideas. Robotic vacuum, sure, why not? I like the Nest doorbell. I've got one of these. Or the Ring doorbell is what I actually have. But Nest, Hello, smart phone or smart doorbells, and Nest also does a great heating and cooling element. So if you're in you're selling a home in Palm Springs, well, Nest is really, really good, and it helps your clients keep their energy costs in check. So really, really cool. That's consistent with, their area. It's, heating costs are through the roof in the summer in Palm Springs and in the Coachella Valley. So yeah. And then this is interesting. I've never even heard of this AI service that you can, it contacts your client, then asks them a series of questions that determine what kind of gift will suit them. Well, that's interesting. I'm not so sure about that one myself. A fully planned and paid for evening out. This is nice, especially if you find out that your client's into wine or into a certain kind of food. They really like Italian food or something like that. Well, hey, you can pay for an Uber to come and pick them up. Take them to this great restaurant. Everything's paid for, and have the Uber bring them back. It's not that expensive in the whole scheme of things, especially if you sold a very high-end home. Heck yes, who wouldn't want that? So that's a really good one. That's almost a no-brainer for almost anybody. Anybody would respect that gift and would like that. Here's another one: a certificate to a local nursery. That's nice. That's nice. But again, I'm not the hugest fan of just blank certificates, because it doesn't really, again, show that huge, appreciation or that, zeroing in on exactly what they might want. So a better thing is to go to the local nursery, select a plant that that they might like because they talked about, oh, I love succulents or I love cactus, So that's taking it a little, a step tiny bit further. This is cool, a local cooking class. Again, only if you find out that this person loves to cook, or, they're into doing things like this, somebody gives me a local cooking class, personally, I'm probably not going to dig it. So again, know your client. Here's a fun one, a custom house portrait. This is definitely, this will be a specific kind of person that would probably appreciate this. Again, a custom house portrait with me and my pet. Personally, probably wouldn't be that excited about it. And then, this whole thing I've talked about. In fact, I've done an entire, webinar on this. Creating that 7-star service in a 5-star service industry. So this is great. This guy, Jay O'Brien, I love this guy. They call him the anti-realtor. So his whole thing, and he doesn't prospect. He literally just uses these, techniques of recontacting his the people that he sold properties to, and, people within his sphere of influence. So he's the guy that does this, constant 5-star or 7-star service. So, a bottle of wine or gift basket, and handwritten note, at the contingency removal, so he's giving gifts, throughout the process of closing, so Travis, have you heard of this guy, Jay O'Brien?
Actually, I can't say that I have.
Great to follow this guy. He's got great ideas. So he is the guy that literally, he'll handle the forwarding of the address of everything. He'll handle the transferring of the utilities. He'll, create an electronic file with all the documents and send it via Dropbox. So they have all the documents for the property. He'll, have his handyman show up on moving day and say, hey, what is there I can help with? And he'll pay for the handyman to do those minor repairs. He'll have his gardener come over and mow the hedges and stuff. I mean, all these different things that just, scream, yeah, I'm going to refer this guy. So he's a really, really, he's one of the guys I like to follow. But this kind of thing is not hard to do. So I really wanted to see our agents, taking some of these ideas and running with it, make them your own. A well-curated case of wine, again, only for, somebody that is really into wine. But as we know, wine drinkers are really into wine, and so something like that, where in talking, you find out that they really like Pinot Noirs from a certain region. And so you get them, a nice, arrangement of Pinot Noirs from Santa Barbara or wherever the heck it is. A local experience they'll never forget. Again, if you sold a property to an 80-year-old woman, we're not going to buy her a, jumping out of a plane experience, right? But if you sold, some property to some high-strung millennials, they might be super ecstatic to do some kind of a crazy zip line tour, or jumping out of an airplane, stuff like that. Gift card to a local coffee shop or local pub. Again, that one I'm not, it's better than nothing, but doesn't really show that personalization and that attention to detail that we want to exhibit. And that's really the point of this. Same thing, gift certificate to a local antique store. Sure, the 80-year-old, gal is into antiques, might be amazing, might be really the thing that sets you apart. So that's cool. Something to make a transplant feel welcome. So if you're selling a property to somebody that is coming to this area from another area, say they're coming from Wisconsin and they're moving, and again, a young couple moving from Wisconsin to California, to Newport Beach or a beach community, hey, might be okay to get them and the kids surfing lessons. Why not? Or something to that effect, something that makes them feel welcome to this area, something that's different that they can't do in their local, where they came from, that, or at least introducing them to something that is a local kind of a thing. maybe your area does, there's a lot of horseback riding going on. Hey, give them a horseback ride tour. Again, only if through your dealings with these people, you find out that might be appropriate. Otherwise, you're definitely, you're not doing them any favors, right, Travis?
If I can add to that super quick,
Absolutely.
they say that experiences go a lot further than monetary, possessions. So, I like a couple of these, like the skydiving thing. If you find out maybe that's been a bucket list item,
Right.
it's not that expensive. I think it's like $150
Yeah.
a person. So, I mean, if you're spending a few $100s per closing, a couple's jump out of the plane kind of fits right in that budget, and giving them that experience, they're never going to forget that experience, and they're probably never going to forget who paid for that experience for them to do it.
Guaranteed.
And especially when they're talking to their friends and family, they're like, oh my God, my realtor bought the tickets, we went and jumped out of the plane, so on and so forth. Same thing with, the transplant thing, giving them something, an experience to make them feel welcome into the community, such as surfing lessons or, something like that. You have to get a little creative on that one, but yeah, I like the experience one.
Yeah, no, that's a really good point, Travis. You're right. They don't forget these experiences. They might forget that you brought them the cactus, but if you paid for them to jump out of a plane, they're not going to forget that one real soon,
No,
right?
definitely not.
No, I like that. And then again, this stuff needs to be put in your budget at the beginning of the year. Right now, you need to budget this stuff and know that X amount of dollars is going to go towards these things. Like I said, this guy Jay, Jay, he doesn't budget anything but that. He budgets only. He doesn't buy leads. He doesn't do any of that. He budgets all of the money that he would have spent there in all this stuff. And he gets tons and tons of business.
And Kevin,
Yes, sir.
Just to interrupt here, and the important thing here too is that when Kevin talks about a budget, our platform is really made and designed for you guys to have the resources and the means at closing to do this stuff, because we really are such a lean and mean flat fee platform. You guys are keeping 98%. Sometimes more of the commission. So if you can't pull aside 2% or a tiny little bit to do this stuff, you're really you're not doing yourself any favors, because you're not growing your business in the right way. And so you have to set aside a little bit of money for these client gifts, for these closing moments, to get leverage into your business and grow your business.
For sure, especially the agents that have come to us, from brokerages where they were given the broker 20%, 10%, whatever it is, So you got to be able to go, okay, I am going to take at least a percentage. Of course, we all want to keep more money and put it in our pocket, and that's why we exist as a brokerage. But you've got to take at least a small portion of that and put it back into the business. And I know everybody understands that. I just like to say it over and over again, so we really punch it into our brains. So these are great. A consultation with a local interior designer. Again, when we build our local business, group, where we have our handyman, we have our landscaper, we've got our interior designer. We have all of these local businesses that are in our pocket because they're our go-to vetted sources. It's a great idea to use them, and especially with the J model over here, when I do a closing, Mr. Landscaper, I'm going to have you come on over. So that landscaper becomes a source of business as well, because the landscaper is like, wow, this guy refers me business. When he has a question, or when somebody is, asking the landscaper, who do I use for a realtor? He's going to refer you. So it's a win-win for everybody. But an interior designer, every realtor should have their go-to interior designer that they talk to a couple times a week, a couple times a month, at least. luxury keychain. I don't know about that, guys. I think that falls into, some of the worst. Okay, so we're going to get into the worst. This is awful. A bottle of wine with your face on it. That's a dud. That's just no thank you on that one. Kitchen gadgets, wine openers, stuff like that. They're nice. They're nice if it's part of a bunch of other stuff in like a cool gift basket. I know a local realtor that is famous for putting together these amazing customized gift baskets that have all kinds of really cool stuff, that is customized for that particular person. And so as part of that, sure, you can have, a special kind of a nice for a wine opener, in there. Great. Again, just the blanket Home Depot Lowe's certificate. That's kind of like you gave up. You're just kind of throwing something out there. There is absolutely no thought given to that one. You gave up on that one. This one is awful. A dinner or lunch with you. I mean, get out of town. That's just horrible. For sure, give them a dinner or whatever, or lunch. Like we said, that's great. But dinner with me, like, you got to be kidding me. Anything large, yeah, big furniture items, stuff like that. That's just, it's not going to help your client that much. So things like that, we want to stay away from those things. So anyway, I think we get the gist of what we're trying to do here is basically we need very, very thoughtful gifts, and consistency is what's going to separate us from the other realtor. I think the other thing is just making sure that we're consistent. Bill, any major takeaways that you have from our webinar today?
Well, of course, this is super important, and this is something that everyone needs to really try to do as much as possible with their closings. But I like the gifts that are going to give you the most mileage. So some of the stuff is good, and it might hold that you might be top of mind for a little while, but and certainly subscriptions might not be for everybody. But like my sister got my dad loves pastries, right? So he's a big pastry guy, and so she got him, and this has nothing to do with real estate, but it was something that I thought was really well thought out, because she knows that he loves pastries. So he gets, I don't know if it's once a week or once a month, it's one of the two, that he gets a different kind of pastry that, comes to the house delivered. And it's something that he's going to, obviously, as soon as he gets that box of pastries, he's going to be like, thinking of my sister and how thoughtful that was so I think it is imperative you understand your client. That, like you said, Kevin, and Travis mentioned, that is imperative. But then what is the gift that's going to give you the most mileage to that person? Because once again, and like you showed with the anti-realtor, he's really trying to get his most mileage out of what he's giving his clients.
Yeah. No, that's huge, Bill. And I think that's just the big takeaway from the webinar for sure. And so again, don't be afraid to send these clients, things on a quarterly basis, and they might not even be a client yet. I've got a realtor friend that, he just, if he just starts working with somebody, he might not even have got the deal yet, but he'll send those people a little something on a quarterly basis. Why the heck not? Because that is the kind of things that, when you're thinking of, somebody that goes above and beyond, those things stand out. And so those are the people that get the referral. So anyway, guys, I really appreciate you being on the webinar as usual. And thanks, Bill and Travis, for being on the webinar as well. And you guys get out there, make it a great week. Take this stuff, use it. And if you have any questions, of course, don't hesitate to hop on a one-on-one Calendly appointment with me, and we'll knock it out. All right, guys, get out there, make it a great week. We'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.